Come on in, everybody. Come on in. Um, I have some unfortunate news to bring, and we're going to talk about a few things. I'm going to show you a few things. John McAfee, software pioneer, the creator of McAfee antivirus, which even to this day goes by the name McAfee. You may have found it installed on one of your computers when you've bought it. Generally, it comes with, antivirus or back in the day. And McAfee is by far a top contender, not only in consumer lines of defense for antivirus, but corporations, businesses that use McAfee antivirus. And John McAfee, who sold the antivirus code a long time ago, was a very rich man, and he got caught up in the last few years. He was facing tax evasion charges in the United States, and he was also facing a cryptocurrency fraud case. And we're going to kind of talk about that. He did some stuff like we've seen Elon Musk do, basically. Hey, Centel babe, thanks for being here. I hope you're doing okay. He pulled like Elon Musk type moves and would purposely like tweet about a crypto and literally sell while the price was up. He did this a couple of times, and he had a case against him. That was the United States was proceeding against him. Thus, the reason he has been on the run. Yes, John McAfee on the run. Now, my understanding is John McAfee hung himself. He committed suicide in the Spanish prison uh, that was holding him once his extradition to the United States was approved. So when, basically John McAfee said, is making the statement that he was not going to come back, he felt that, and he has said this, that he, at his age, which is, he was 75 years old, he felt that he would be in prison for the rest of his life. Um, his lawyers have confirmed his death at this point. And I want to show you guys, honestly, I want to show you some video. Um, John McAfee was a very mysterious figure. He also is under suspicious for the murder of some people. I kid you not. John McAfee was a very mysterious, strange, strange individual, to say the least. Um, Let me see. I want to show you a video that he made. Okay, this video that it was like a commercial that he made. It was John McAfee was wild. There is a video that he did. Hold on. I want to show you this video. Hold on, let me share out a different screen. Because when you see this, it's going to be like, oh my God. It's like, how can this guy who sells the code for what became, leading antivirus in the entire world, how could he come, to making videos of himself holding guns? And if you haven't seen Gringo, The Dangerous Life of John McAfee, you need to. I think Vice even, his life was just absolutely crazy. And, even in Belize, like I said, he was suspected of murder. And on top of that, they suspect that he was actually creating meth in his labs. And I want to show you this video he did. Give me a second. Give me just a second. I want to show you this video because it's absolutely in freaking insane. Hold on, let me see. John McAfee viral video. Yeah, this should find it. This was crazy. Okay, so yes, here it is. This has been seen millions of times. The title, how to uninstall McAfee antivirus. Now, keep in mind, he had sold McAfee at this point in his life. He had been associated to McAfee for a long time, and he didn't have any ties. So, of course, he creates this video called How to Uninstall McAfee Antivirus. And let me tell you something, it is wild.
Fuck.
Give me a second to get the
Send. Oh, hello there. My name is John McAfee. I'm the founder of the McAfee Antivirus software company. Although I've had nothing to do with this company for over 15 years, I still get volumes of mail asking, how do I uninstall this software? I have no idea. I really need to quit. As I said, I've had nothing to do with McAfee software for over 15 years. I've had more pressing things to do. But recent events have made me change my mind. I've had, over the years, many responses from users who are complaining about the difficulty in removing the software. I'd like to read you a few things. Holy fucking shit. I was drawing for like 5 hours straight on this marvelous drawing, and I had to do a big-ass scan that slows the shit out of my computer. It was McAfee, of course. My computer is always really fast, but that son of a bitch has to come fuck it up. Here's another. My free trial for McAfee, or however it's spelled, expired. When it expired, it blocked Pornhub. Fuck McAfee. Fuck them in their stupid faces. I hope they all get dick and cunt rot and die a slow, agonizing death for limiting my porn use to Xhamster. No one should have to use Xhamster. I tried one final time and got the Urban Dictionary definition for McAfee. McAfee, a barely passable virus scanning program that updates at the worst possible times. Tends to render your computer completely useless whenever it starts an update, which it doesn't ask to start, and you cannot cancel or pause. McAfee updates at horrible times, almost like the creators want you to die. So I finally remembered how to uninstall McAfee antivirus software, and I've asked my friend Bartholomew to walk you through the steps. This is my lab tech, Bartholomew. He's going to take you through step by step the process of uninstalling the McAfee antivirus software. Well, say hello, Bartholomew. Yes, so if you need me, I'll be over here, and good luck.
The procedure for removing McAfee antivirus software from your computer is as follows. First, make sure you have a full backup.
Yes, Bartholomew, back it up. Back it up, that's right.
Yeah,
Very
John.
important, back it up.
Sir, should I be reading the instructions for the Mac or PC? They're really quite different. Depending on which edition and version of McAfee's anti-malware software is installed on your computer, you may have to click on Remove, Uninstall, or a similarly named option to begin the uninstall process. When finished, reboot the system. John, are you getting this?
Yeah, yes.
You may have to download McAfee Consumer Product Removal Tool. John?
Huh? Yes.
Does that sound about right?
Well, not completely, you know. I mean, it's always there. It's watching. It's been watching me for years. Every time I turn on the fucking computer, it's there looking at me. You know, something went wrong. 15 years ago, I had some beautiful software and they took it over. I don't know what they did. It was like the time I hired that Bangkok prostitute to do my taxes while I fucked my accountant. It was terrible. The same fucking thing is going on now. But I know what to do. I know exactly what to do. Believe me, I've got a fucking solution right here.
Yeah. Now, that lady, the lady at the end there was his actual wife or was his latest girlfriend. This lady right here, they lived together, from my understanding, in a house in Tennessee because after the whole situation in Belize, when John McAfee was accused of killing his next door neighbor. They fled Belize, of course. They came back to the United States, and they, from my understanding, settled down. He, as you can tell, I obviously follow John McAfee, and but I think it's important to understand, like, John McAfee was extremely controversial, and I want to show you a little bit of some of his time in Belize, and just kind of show you, like, who John McAfee was. This was the video that he did that when hold on, let me see if I can. I hate it when this happens. Hold on, guys. Let's see here. John McAfee's lab in Belize raided on suspicion he was making meth. And, I wouldn't be surprised. John McAfee, it's no secret that he'll tell you, like, now, this interview was done back in 2017. And like I said, there's the lady, right? His wife. I thought things were really settling down with McAfee. I really did. But I didn't realize that, he actually fled the country, and here he has been in this Spanish prison. So just check this out.
Scotch is brought in by,
and then I'm going to show you Belize, what happened in Belize, but this is after Belize, okay? Keep in mind, he is, that the black cloud of murder hangs over, and always did, on John McAfee, especially after his time in Belize. And he decided to flee Belize and come here to the United States, and 2020 came and did an interview with him.
By the case,
And champagne is waiting as usual.
champagne is on ice.
And excuse me for smoking, people, but it's one of my vices.
Cigarettes are always ablaze, and the guns are always loaded.
At 1,300 feet per second, this is at 800 feet per second.
So which one would hurt more?
Oh, this? Absolutely.
But I'm not here for a party or target practice. I'm here to talk to him about how his life took a very dark turn during his Central American interlude.
Why did you go to Belize in the first place?
Oh, because I'm a stupid man.
Easy to joke now in his pleasant suburban kitchen, but back in 2009, before everything went so horribly wrong, Belize seemed a brilliant idea for John McAfee, who was eager to escape the cascade of lawsuits back in the U.S.
Most beautiful beach in the world, a reef, a quarter of a mile offshore. I snorkel, I fish, I swim, I love the water. It was beautiful.
The quintessential millionaire's dream. He purchased the spread on an island called Ambergris Key, surrounded by American expats. But McAfee's most intriguing fantasy wasn't on the beach at all.
All right, get ready for some serious Heart of Darkness here.
As seen on this CNBC report, he purchased a second property in the interior of the country and moved deep in the jungle to a place called Orange Walk, where he had set up a lab.
And I thought, wow, this is a dream come true.
Allison Adonisio was a Harvard-trained microbiologist he brought into the jungle. The famed entrepreneur was at it again with his latest startup venture, creating plant-based antibiotics. But she says the enterprise fell apart when her benefactor started to become unhinged.
He became very paranoid. He was talking about taking over the country. I started to think, this guy is a madman.
McAfee says he was helping the locals, feeding poor families and providing many with jobs.
I employed half of the town. I can show you a letter from the mayor saying that Mr. McAfee's done more for Orange Walk than any of our citizens have.
But exactly what was he doing for those citizens? McAfee admits he brought in young women to be in his harem. Then there was the gang of convicted criminals McAfee proudly says he hired as his armed bodyguards, his own private militia.
Everybody I hired was an ex-felon and had spent half of their life in prison.
It sounds like that's a recipe for disaster.
They never shot anybody, never even shot at anybody, never even pointed a gun at anybody because they were dangerous people.
He called them hitmen. He told me repeatedly that he could have people hurt, taken out. if he wanted to.
Adonisio says it all became too much for her. But listen to her traumatic account of what she says happened when she told McAfee she wanted out.
When I did go over there, the conversation did not go as I expected. And God, I feel so stupid.
She wasn't able to go on.
I'm sorry.
The one time she was able to describe publicly what she says happened was in a documentary film about McAfee called Gringo.
I told him I had a headache, and he brought me. He went into the other room and
Shy
he brought
girl.
me 2 pills and a glass of orange juice. It tasted foul.
She says he drugged her with that juice and then raped her.
I only have sort of flashes of recollection. He was standing over me, naked. I grabbed my clothes. I don't even remember taking them off.
Adonisio says she quickly fled Belize without telling the local police. She says U.S. authorities told her they had no jurisdiction, so no charges were pursued.
I don't know what to tell you except that I have emotional and physical scars from that experience.
Allison Adonisio, a mad woman.
A mad woman.
A mad woman.
Well, she claims that you raped her,
Right.
drugged her and raped her.
Well, she can claim whatever she likes. Never had sex with her, certainly never raped her. She seemed rational. She was not.
I find it rather ironic that somebody as unhinged as McAfee would say that I'm unstable. I think that I'm pretty strong considering everything that I've had to go through.
Then, in April of 2012, McAfee was about to have trouble with the law for an entirely different reason.
There was a belief that he was manufacturing illicit drugs on the compound, like as I said, because of all the different criminal elements that were there. It's very unusual that you'd be doing research into plants and you need so many people to protect you.
Belize's gang suppression unit raided his lab, they say on suspicion he was making meth. No drugs were found. McAfee claims the government was harassing him because he wouldn't pay bribes.
I was on the verge of something when I refused to pay an extortion for $2 million. And a week later, the gang suppression unit destroyed my lab.
McAfee abandoned the jungle and moved back to Ambergris Key, but trouble followed. Among his neighbors was this man, Greg Fall, a builder who came from Central Florida to Central America.
This is the house in Belize. Took him about 7 years to build it.
Greg's mother, Eileen Keeney, says her son wanted a peaceful retirement in the Caribbean, but when she came to visit him a few months later, she says it was anything but peaceful.
Greg was not happy with him, and he had had some issues with McAfee.
Keeney says her son Greg was disgusted by what McAfee had brought back from the jungle, that harem of women, the armed guards, and especially the swarm of dogs that constantly menaced passersby.
He said, now, we're going to be walking past McAfee's house, and there's going to be dogs there. Now, they're usually fenced up, but he says, I just want to warn you.
As Keeney headed home to Florida, she had no clue what was ahead. 2 days later, she received an unfathomable phone call from her daughter.
And then she told me, Greg's been murdered. And I left out this blood-curdling scream.
A brutal beachside murder. Was the eccentric millionaire involved?
I'm telling you, like, John McAfee is so interesting. He's fascinating. That there's no better way to put it. He's an absolutely fascinating character, to say the least.
He's the elusive and eccentric millionaire behind the household name that's protected millions of computers for decades. But after John McAfee cashed in on his pioneering antivirus software, he dropped off the radar. It became an international fugitive, running from police who wanted to question him about a murder in Belize. And now he's finally ready to tell his story, but only and exclusively to ABC's Matt Gutman.
He is a party animal.
John?
Huh?
A one-time tech multimillionaire,
It is the #1 computer threat.
presidential candidate,
Stand with me to protect our freedom.
and international fugitive.
John.
We begin with that software millionaire on the run, suspected of murder.
John McAfee became rich and famous for creating and selling his self-named antivirus software.
You made $100 million, let's say, from selling McAfee, right?
That's what they say.
How much did you make?
Much more.
What did you do with the money?
I wasted it like everybody does money.
He built 9 homes, filled them with expensive art and furniture, bought a fleet of antique cars,
Is that love? Isn't it selfishness?
even creating a Zen yoga retreat. But McAfee says his Zen was disturbed by a constant wave of what he calls frivolous lawsuits. So he decamped to this idyllic-looking compound in Belize,
John McAfee
has been eluding police.
but trouble still followed him. In 2012, authorities in Belize named him as the sole person of interest in the murder of Greg Fall, his American neighbor, who was shot in the head inside his home. They sought McAfee for questioning. McAfee refused, instead going on the run.
Of course, he's the main suspect here. You've got the motive, you've got this incident with the dog.
McAfee dodged authorities all the way back to the U.S., where he has been ever since, never charged with a crime. Now, for the first time, he is sitting down to answer questions in a no-holds-barred interview.
Why did you go on the run?
Because if I didn't go on, I'd be a dead man now.
I first crossed paths with McAfee in 2012.
From just outside John McAfee's compound, its owner this morning is on the run.
That was when he was hiding out from authorities and would only talk to me by phone.
When we say we're going to talk tomorrow, does that mean face-to-face?
After 3 weeks in the jungle in Belize, he fled for Guatemala, where he was arrested. It was all caught on camera by Vice TV. Once in jail, he faked a heart attack and was rushed to the hospital, followed by the press. Miraculously, McAfee opened his eyes and asked the nurses not to undress him in front of the media.
You faked the heart attack.
Sure, I faked it. What would you have done?
He was deported back to America, landing in Miami, where he met his future wife, Janice. She was a prostitute at the time.
He saw the human in me. He thought I was worthy enough of a second chance.
Is it strange for you to have found love in your late 60s, early 70s?
I instantly saw in Janice what I had been looking for my entire life.
The two of them now live in this upscale but hardly lavish spread. They share their home with their ever-present bodyguard and an arsenal of guns.
Is it a real gun, though, or is it like an air rifle?
Believe me, it's a real gun.
Do you have a fascination with guns?
I have a fascination with survival.
And then there is this pack of dogs. Back in his Belize compound, McAfee had a swarm of dogs there as well, which was a bone of contention for his neighbor, Greg Fall. Greg's mother, Eileen Keeney, says her son wanted a peaceful retirement in the Caribbean, but she says it was anything but peaceful.
Now, we're going to be walking past McAfee's house, and there's going to be dogs there. Now, they're usually fenced up, but he says, I just want to warn you.
She says those dogs were aggressive. Fall allegedly told friends that he was going to take care of the problem himself.
Greg had told them that he was going to poison the dogs.
Then one evening, some poisoned meat was thrown over McAfee's fence. All 9 of his dogs were poisoned. The very next night, an intruder snuck into Fall's home, tased him several times, and then shot him in the head. The house showed no sign of forced entry. Nothing was taken from inside.
He was brutally murdered, and he had no enemies.
The case is still open, and Nanette Burstein's recent documentary, Gringo, alleges that McAfee was the mastermind behind Fall's murder.
You think you found the smoke to the fire of the Greg Fall murder?
Yes, I did.
In Gringo, this man, McAfee's beachfront caretaker named Cashin, alleges his boss paid to have it done.
This Thursday night, the dogs were poisoned. The following morning, sometime around 9 o'clock, John called me. He said, take this money, $5,000, and go put it in this guy's account.
Cashin says the man who got that money called him late the night of the murder to come pick him up.
Then I realized that this $5,000 was for him to do that.
To do what?
To kill the guy. Nanette has been after me since.
In a video McAfee posted online, Cashin would later recant his story.
John had nothing to do with that murder.
Let me make this perfectly clear. I had nothing to do with the murder of Gregory Fall. You're asking the most ridiculous thing.
This is not, you have to admit that it's not ridiculous.
It is.
That your dogs, 9 of your dogs, your beloved dogs, were poisoned.
Were
And the next
killed by the
day,
government.
that would make a man who loves animals absolutely irate.
Right.
It would be enough to make a man who loves his dogs willing to kill, some would
Does
say.
this man look to you like he would be stupid enough to kill whoever was responsible?
I don't think he would be stupid enough.
The night after? Let me
Did
tell
you order a hit on him?
Of course not, please. I am sick of police. We're finished
That
with
is your
police.
choice. But we're not, I have a couple more questions about Belize.
As we ratcheted up the pressure on McAfee about Belize, he started to walk out on our main interview.
You're walking out on this.
Yes, because you have not kept your word.
I have kept my word.
There had been no preconditions to the interview, and McAfee quickly calmed down and sat down.
Our computers are no longer back home in the office. They are in our hands.
These days, McAfee could be called a prophet of digital doom, and his apocalyptic warnings about today's cyber threats attract plenty of eyeballs, both in person and on TV.
We're being spied on by our government. John McAfee.
He's now the CEO of MGT Capital, a company that invests in cybersecurity companies like the one that developed this cell phone, which McAfee claims is the first ever that can't be hacked.
Given the obsession with hacking, it seems like the perfect time for John McAfee.
Well, it's an opportunity for me to speak again. People are listening.
And truth is, it's one of the reasons he said he agreed to spend time with me.
What do you hope to get out of this interview?
I hope to get at least 10 minutes that I can talk about the serious problem in the world, which is cybersecurity. We're living in 1984. Our freedoms are being restricted, our security is being eroded, and we have no more privacy. If we lose privacy, we will lose civilization, and we will certainly lose our humanity.
With McAfee, the truth is always slippery. You could say there's only one constant in his life.
How would you define yourself? Are you a madman? Are you paranoid? Are you an entrepreneur? Who are you?
All of the above. I've always followed my own path. I mean, you know, the drummer that leads me is an odd drummer, but I follow the sound.
For Nightline, I'm Matt Gutman in Lexington, Tennessee.
I'm telling you. Strange guy. I'm telling you, he is strange. And I remember when he got arrested in Belize, and he then, had to be rushed to the hospital before a heart attack. And I'm just shocked that that he committed suicide. I wasn't expecting that. Not from John. I wasn't expecting that. Let's see if we can look at a news, article regarding
Antivirus
the
software creator John
death.
McAfee has been found dead inside his Barcelona prison cell just hours after a Spanish court had approved his extradition to the US. Our reporter Lily Mayers joins us now with the details live from Madrid. Lily, good morning. So what do we know about the death of this 75-year-old man?
Well, this news has just come in and investigators have just begun looking into his death. But initially, they say this is an apparent suicide, and it comes just hours after Spain's High Court approved his extradition to the US, where he was charged with tax evasion. That came after being accused of not declaring his income for about 3 financial years. And if he had been extradited, he was facing up to 30 years prison. He'd been in custody within Spain for about 9 months after being arrested at Barcelona's airport last October.
We just seen some pictures of him in court today. What did he appear like?
Well, yeah, as you can see in some of those pictures, the 75-year-old appeared calm and he spoke clearly while in court today. He did plead with authorities for him not to be sent back to the US. He said he would clearly he would certainly be spending the rest of his life behind bars
Wow.
if he was sent.
Wow, hold on. I just have to look at this image because this is what McAfee looked like today as he sat in this room. As you know, they're doing a lot of these court cases where the judge is not in the same room, and I'm just looking at how different John looks, and this was today. So I'm going to let this continue here.
For today, he did plead with authorities for him not to be sent back to the US. He said he would clearly he would certainly be spending the rest of his life behind bars if he was sent. He also made it clear he felt the charges against him were politically motivated. He accused the US government of using him as an example. So this is super fresh. We don't know a lot, and we should know more about the details of his death in the next few hours.
Lily, thank you very much.
And, I have to say that John John, he may be he may have been a very eccentric person, but there is no question in my mind that he absolutely was targeted by the United States government. No question at all in my mind. They absolutely wanted to use him as an example. And, imagine a man who made millions on crypto. He didn't file, the taxes that he was supposed to have filed as far as what he made. And, during this crypto, I mean, if you just look, okay, at John's Twitter, which was his preferred method on how he communicated with the world, even while in prison, down there in Latin America and in Spain and other countries, it just depends. Believe it or not, you'd be surprised how many people have phones, even in prisons here in the United States. But he, he tweeted as recently as 3 days ago. Now, one of the tweets that he pinned was very interesting. Hold that thought. Okay, sorry about that. I had to get something out of the oven. Now, the pinned tweet is very interesting. This was pinned on June the 16th. This was posted June 16th. He says, this was John's tweet. The U.S. believes I have hidden crypto. I wish I did, but it has dissolved through the many hands of Team McAfee. Your belief is not required, and my remaining assets are all seized. My friends evaporated through fear of association. I have nothing, yet I regret nothing. Now, is it possible for the United States government to know if he did have hidden crypto assets? Well, no, not necessarily. That's the beautiful thing about Bitcoin and the beautiful thing about blockchain well, it could be a con of blockchain technology, but as long as he's the only one that knows the wallet, then he's the only one that's going to know whether or not he has assets in crypto, period. Unless the authorities can somehow get the wallet, then they could look on the blockchain. But if he's the only one that knows the wallet, he's the only one that's going to know if he has hidden crypto. But obviously the government doesn't believe him because the government knows this. This is another reason why many of us, especially in technology, were extremely shocked when we seen that the government somehow managed to get back, what was it, 4.4 million of the Colonial Pipeline ransomware money, because we know how Bitcoin works, and that's just unheard of. And so, like I've said before, and I'll say it again today, the only way that the FBI was able to get that money back in regards to the Colonial Pipeline hack is number one, either they had access to the wallet, or number two, they had someone who had access to the wallet, period. Now, on June 20th, John retweeted Janice McAfee's Happy Father's Day note. And you can see here, he said, it says here, I know John is an extremely polarizing individual. Believe me, I know this better than most. But I also know, as well as any of you, hold on. But I also know, as well as, come on, I hate that. Thank you. I also know, as well as any of you who follow him on Twitter, that he has always been honest about who he is, always, sometimes too honest, sometimes sharing more than any of us care to know about. John's honesty has often gotten him in trouble with corrupt governments and corrupt government officials because of his outspoken nature and his refusal to be extorted, intimidated, or silenced. Now the U.S. authorities are determined to have John die in prison, to make an example of him for speaking out against the corruption within their government agencies. The media continues to vilify him per their narrative, and there is no hope of him ever having a fair trial in America because there is no longer any justice in America. Wow. You could definitely, if you'd like to go read McAfee's Twitter page, there's a link to it. Hey, what's up, Truth Seeker? I seen your video earlier today. I seen people are running around trolling, cloning your account. Yeah, matter of fact, it's so funny. It's not funny, but it's interesting that you had mentioned that, because I literally, kid you not, in the last month or so, I have been seeing content creator after content creator's accounts get cloned, picture and all. And they'll be, they'll drop in people's chats, and oh yeah, it's been multiple content creators. But yeah, John McAfee also posted on June 18th, in a democracy, power is given, not taken, but it is still power. There's definitely, let's see what he had to say on June the 17th.
Well, let's take a look at the human species. Humans are compassionate and loving, gracious, kind, generous people. We are simultaneously greedy, jealous, envious, angry. We're a mixed bag. And if you give one of the human species power, which part of ourselves uses it? Love? Love does not need power, people. It flowers from the heart. Grace? Grace certainly needs no power. Compassion, generosity. No, these are simply things that flow from our good nature. What uses power? Well, greed certainly needs power, doesn't it? If you have enough power, you can take any fucking thing you want. Anger definitely would love some power, would it not? Envy? Well, with power, whatever you're envious of, you can duplicate on your own. No, it is that negative, unsocial, not life-supporting part of the human animal that needs power, nothing else.
Look at this. There is much sorrow in prison, disguised as hostility. The sorrow is plainly visible, even in the most angry faces. I'm old and content with food and a bed, but for the young prisoner, it's a horror, a reflection of the minds of those who conceived them. Oh, I know this is trending on Twitter. I absolutely know it is. I have to say, I am very saddened by these events. Obviously, you know, his lawyer even has spoke to the fact that, you know, it was just today, just a few hours prior to John McAfee committing suicide, hanging himself in his cell, that he found out he was going to be extradited back to the United States. And, you know, it's, let me see if I'm able to. This is I'm very saddened by these events, and I find and have always found John McAfee to be an extremely polarizing figure. Not to mention the fact that he was a techie, and I watched him build an antivirus software that he then later sold, and you know, it lived the life of many that many would love to live. And the thing about McAfee, though, that you have to understand is that even towards his later years, right, like in the last like 10, 15 years, he would always speak out when it came to like security and how the government can do, you know, like how the FBI has actually subpoenaed Apple before in order to get Apple to break into certain phones. They did it in multiple cases. There was a mass murder event that happened actually in California, and the FBI subpoenaed Apple to break into the shooter's phone, and Apple refused to, uh, you know, agree to that subpoena, even though they were subpoenaed by a court. They said no, and that's the thing. You've got Apple, which is probably number one when it comes to security. You know that you don't have to worry about the FBI being able to even take a search warrant to Apple and necessarily being able to break into your phone. And that to me, it gives me a great feeling, which is why I will always own an Apple device, just for the very purpose. And I appreciate that in a company that holds my privacy at an extreme. That's something to be appreciated. Um, Facebook, I can't say the same for them, which is why I really don't fool around on there. Like, I have an account, but honestly, it's only to run a page. I don't do anything on the account, honestly. I just run a bunch of Facebook pages and groups. Actually, there's a guy that runs my Facebook groups for me. It always has for like the last probably 5+ years. And we have, just talking here. I literally just in my tragic event, leaky.com tragic event group, we have well over 1,000 group members, and in our official Facebook group, well over 100 plus. So, hey, Aisha, definitely, I am not hurting in the follower department, and even on the main page that I'm probably most active on, leaky.com, and the leaky.com live video. Those, it's just, and one of the pages I've had for a long time that I actually actually got from someone else who gave me the page, and it's been very hard to build on it. I don't know. There's something to be said about, like, if you've ever thought that maybe buying a Facebook page that already has followers, then think again, because that shit, it really does not work. So I had to end up getting rid of that. And the one that I actually built from, I remember when, and I remember this was probably 4 years ago, 5 years ago. I don't know. I'd have to go look. Maybe 2017 when I created those pages on Facebook. I remember like being, 50, 100 was a goal. And then it became 500, and then 1,000, and then like now I know there's like 12,000 people that like follow it, and then there's like what is it, subscribe and follow, there's like a difference between the two, whatever it is. But Instagram, Twitter, like, it's amazing, and I'm very appreciative for each and every one of you guys. And so you all know who followed me for a long time, like this right here, you knew I was definitely gonna have to talk about this. I'm very saddened about this news, and so I just wanted to come live, tell you guys about it. And I also wanted to let you know that tomorrow at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, me and the general, 5-star general Jerry Monroe, will be here. He will be here live. We've got some things to talk about. Jerry Monroe is running for school board in Houston. He's running for office. And we've got a video that he has made that, he is promoting. And it's a really awesome thing to see that he takes that stuff really serious. I've known him for a few years, and Jerry Monroe really does take the office serious, the HISD, all that. And so he will be here tomorrow, 8 o'clock. So definitely you'll want to be here. And we're also going to talk about a couple of cases. One in particular, I don't know if you guys heard about this. Give me a second. I'd like to bring it up. Willie D, y'all already know how I feel about Willie D. Love him. And he did a video earlier today. Hold on. Let me, it was like, what? Hold on a second. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it. I was like it's sometimes I don't understand how it's just crazy how things happen in the world, You just never know what's going to happen in life. Yes, this 19-year-old Michigan girl opened fire on the police, and she was shot and killed. And it reminded me of Corinne Gaines. You guys remember the story of Corinne Gaines? So yeah, we may chop it up about that. But guys, one thing I do want to say before I get up off of here is Candace Owens. I asked a long time ago, I wanted to get a hashtag started called Cancel Tommy Lauren. I think we need to cancel Candace Owens as well. Definitely go check out Willie D's latest video on the video that he did on Candace. It's just, I don't get it, but whatever. Yes, it is major, Natalie. Yes, Jerry Monroe is doing the damn thing. He will be here tomorrow, and he will be discussing all of that with us. And so I'm very excited about that. And so we'll be streaming across all platforms. And so I will see you guys tomorrow at 8. I've got right now some other things I need to take care of. When I see the breaking news, I did want to at least bring this to you. Thanks everyone for coming in today. Let's see here. Did someone ever find out what the Q meant on his Twitter? On McAfee's Twitter? Is that what you mean? Because I don't see like a Q or anything. I'm looking. But anyway, guys, we'll pick this back up again, Natalie. Let's pick this back up next time I go live. But much love, guys. I appreciate y'all. Until next time.